Videos like this start off with a massive thank you to the people who have my back, supporting me and enabling me to continue creating content and doing what I do best, creating stuff for you guys. In today's video, we will be discussing Stage 8 of Dragonstar Arena. Hope you guys enjoy. Greetings, Gilliam the Rogue here once again with another Threats of Tamriel segment. In today's episode, we'll be going over Stage number 8 of Dragonstar Arena, dealing with the Mages Guild and Dwemer. As we take a look here, there's not too much going on in terms of environmental hazards, and there will not be actually in this stage. In this stage, we'll be dealing with spawned adds, and there's going to be a lot of mechanics, but there's not going to be much to talk about environmental-wise. The biggest threat that's going to spawn are going to be adds that we'll cover in the creature segment called Centurions, and there's going to be 3 of them in Veteran: Fire, Ice, and Charged. The only time they're going to be an issue is on the final boss of this stage, which is going to be the 5th round. They'll spawn with an Ice and a Fire Centurion and adds and the boss. So there's going to be a lot of AoE damage, so I highly suggest using things like Veil of Blades, Nova, heroic slashing the adds if you're a tank, and so on. So there's a lot of damage mitigation, so your healers can keep pumping out the heals and your damage can just nuke everything down without having to really worry about anything. But again, since there's not many environmental things, let's go into the creature segment and then into the gameplay footage. Starting things right off, we have the classic Pyromage, same as we've seen before. They're going to have 2 attacks. One is a bashable heat wave. It does really high damage, so if you don't bash it, you're going to be in deep trouble. Make sure if you don't bash it that you outrange it, move away to the sides, and then they're also going to have the fire rings, just don't stand in them. Next is the Sorcerer. Again, classic Sorcerer. They're going to have the Streak attack, which when they land, they're going to do big AoE lightning damage. And then they're also going to have this Pulsar attack, which will be an AoE around his feet that'll do high lightning damage, and then it'll also reduce your max health for a short bit, so you can purge that or just move out of it. Next is a Frost Mage. They're going to have 3 mechanics. One is an Ice Wall, which will absorb projectiles. Another is a Frost Line, which is the same as Heat Line, where you just bash it, move away from it, whatever. And then they're also going to have Unstable Wall of Frost, which will do high damage, snare, and immobilize you, and then explode after 6 seconds, inevitably one-shotting you. Next is the Battle Mage. These guys are a super high priority. They're going to have Negate, move out of it, or you'll be silenced, unable to cast anything. And then they're going to have their Frost Donut, which will deal high ice damage to anything in it. You can move outside of it or in it. Next is the little Dwemer spider we have here. Doesn't really do anything. He's got 1 heavy attack, which can do pretty high damage, but his main threat is going to be trying to charge his allies. And you see right here, he's actually charged by it. It can be bashed, and he's going to summon like this little lightning field, which will deal damage. And if any allied Dwemer construct goes in, they'll be empowered, do bonus damage, and be his threat. So try and bash that. Next is a Dwemer Sphere. These guys do 2 big attacks that do a lot of damage. One is going to be this butt pound we see here. Move out of it, otherwise you'll take really high damage. They'll also have a really nasty heavy attack, which will hit twice, meaning you have to dodge or block. And then they also have a bashable attack that shoots out in a line, similar to Heat Wave, just move away. Here we have our first fire construct. These guys are immensely powerful. They deal really high damage, so if you're a tank, get aggro of them, debuff them, and so on. They're going to have an AoE knockdown that can be blocked or dodged. They're going to have an AoE Steam Breath, which will deal high damage, can't be dodged or blocked. And then they're going to have a heavy attack. Furthermore, they'll target a random player and shoot them with a Fire Ring debuff that'll deal high damage, move out of it, or dodge. Next is the Frost Centurion. These guys are also going to have the same attacks that the Fire one does, but they're also going to have a Frost Cast where they'll target a player, and if this thing lands, they'll have this big donut of frost damage that will continuously slow them and deal high damage. The only way to negate this is to dodge roll the effect, bash him while he's casting it, or stack with the person who has the fire one. Next is the Charged Centurion. These guys are very, very basic. Leave them last because they don't do much. Their main attack is this spin to win nonsense where they just target a player and follow him to the ends of the earth spinning like this. After about 20 seconds, he'll lose his breath, have to recuperate, be susceptible, and take extra damage, so kill him then. Next is the healer. These guys are Templars. That means they're going to have a rapid regen, which will latch onto one of their allies and continuously stream heal them. You need to bash this. They'll also have a bubble, which if not broken will give them a big burst heal, and then they'll also have biting jabs as we see here, which will knock you back if you don't block it or dodge. Next we have Mavis, and he's the final boss of this round. He's going to come in with a lot of adds, so we'll kind of talk about strategy in the gameplay. But his main mechanics are 1, Meteor. This must be blocked. You cannot dodge it. It will knock you up in the air and any allies who are not blocking. He has Volcanic Rune, which will be placed on the ground. If you step in it and you're not blocking, you will be again knocked up. He will also have Heat Wave. This must be bashed or moved out of. And then he will finally have Entropy, which will heal him if he places it on you, so you must purge it. But now let's look at strategies in gameplay. So here we are again with the same team that we started with. Me on my Magic and Nightblade DPS, Deltia on his Dragonite T3 tank, Joy on his Mage DK, and then my girlfriend on her Magicka Healer Templar. Like most stages, we will be starting at north on the first round, and then we'll kind of move to wherever the large areas of ads are going to be. So here we have just a bunch of yada yada boring RP. We find out that this place is actually being ran by a Daedra Boethia, but now a bunch of ads start coming, so we're just going to place down our ground AoEs, start doing some AoE. A battle mage will be spawning at the end of this round, and we're going to have to focus them because battle mages are a priority. There we see this Dwemer's spider doing his little lightning field thing. If an ally construct walks in that, they'll try and consume the buff, and this can be bashed. So since nothing spawned with it, we didn't have to worry about it. But when constructs like the Centurion and Sphere spawn, you'll have to keep a big eye out on that. Here comes the battle mage, and she's also going to have a heavy attack, which I didn't talk about in the creature segment, or a wrecking blow. So look out for that. If you're not a tank, block or dodge that. It'll do high damage. There we saw the Sork try and do the streak attack. Pretty basic stuff, a lot of things that we've seen in the past. Now we're going to move to the west because this is where most of the ads are going to start spawning. We're going to have one ad spawn at the beginning and then a couple come in from east. Once we kill these two constructs, our Centurions will spawn, which will be a big priority. Because the ice and the fire will spawn together, they're going to do high damage, so we drop our ultimates. They're targeting players, doing heavy attacks. Here's the ice guy doing his attack. Now I have the ice. I have to just sit in it, and I can't get out of it because I didn't dodge the attack. The only way to negate it is to stand on the person who gets fire, and that's Delty. And I'm trying to move to him, and then once we finally connect, it goes away. So now that that's taken care of, we kill that guy, and then we leave the charged guy for last because he's not doing anything there. He's tired. He's like, oh, I'm out of breath. I got too many donuts. But when he's like that, he takes bonus damage. He's easy to kill. He doesn't do anything. So just kind of kite him, and he won't be tauntable either. So keep that in mind as a tank. Don't sit there and worry about taunting. Just let your DPS run around like headless chickens in the meantime. Here we're going to have a sphere spawn, so we're going to nuke that as fast as possible because those guys do pretty high damage, especially with their heavy attack. And then once we kill these sorcerers, we're going to have, again, more Centurions. So this time we're kind of prepared for it, so we're going to be watching their mechanics. There was the AoE knockdown from the Frost guy. Here the Ice guy starts casting, but someone bashes it, so we don't have to worry about it. So that now we can just kill them without having to deal with their obnoxious mechanics. They're a very low threat when you properly respect what they can do. Here we have a bunch of ads. Delty is chaining them in. You have to be very careful on this round because everything has the capability to one-shot you. Literally every single ad except maybe this Dwemer spiders can one-shot you either from heavy attacks or casts. So you have to be very conscious of your surroundings. Here we have all three of the Centurion spawn. And since the charge guy doesn't do too much damage, we're just going to sit in it and heal and then just nuke everything down. There's a liquid lightning in the back. Again, the Sorks are going to do that too. I didn't talk about that in the creature segment. It's really easy. Just move out of it. There, we forgot to bash the Ice Centurion, so now our healer has Frost, and then our tank has Flame. She's trying to run to him, and Delthi's like, nah, whatever, you can be snared. He's too busy chaining stuff to him. There, the little spider is trying to buff his ally, but we kill the sphere, so he can't do that, so everything is good. More adds are coming in. The sphere does really high damage. There, his ricochet wave is. If you don't bash that, it'll do really high damage and vaporize you if you eat it, so try and look out for that. Just notice how high the damage spikes here are. Someone died because we weren't giving the arena proper care. We just sat in red, and like in other rounds where you can eat red and be okay, and here you're not, because this is when Dragonstar starts to get really, really punishing. Now we're on to the boss round, and there's going to be a lot of adds, so you have to be very vigilant when dealing with them. Focus the adds first, and then have your tank focus on bashing the boss. So here we have 2 mages spawn with. One is a healer, bash that obnoxious heal, and then go back to Mavis. Mavis is also going to kill one of us with a meteor in here because someone tries to dodge roll it. So don't ever try and dodge roll meteor. There's his volcanic rune. Again, you can't dodge that either. You have to block it. If you don't and you stand in it, you'll be knocked up. If he meteors you at the same time, you're going to get dunked into the ground. Now we get our Centurions and the Battle Mage. We need to focus the Battle Mage so she doesn't negate all of our damage. And guess what? She does anyways. I have Frost. Joy has fire, so I move to him. We sit in it, and now we take no damage. He rolls away from me for some reason, but whatever, it goes away. Nova is really strong here because so much damage is happening, so that was a great time for our healer to drop Nova, because that damage mitigation really helps us not have to worry so much about mechanics. There, Mavis was trying to do his Heat Wave. He's going to do that a lot, so always make sure you're bashing that. There he places an entropy down, someone purges it, so he loses that damage buff, and then we're going to get the final wave of adds. There's going to be, again, 3 guys, or 4 this time, 2 charged. There I got knocked up. There's the meteor. I almost die from that, but all of these adds spawn, and this is when it gets really chaotic, so try and save 2 damage mitigation ultimates for this, or just spam the ever-living shit out of Harness Magicka and heals. There another meteor went down and almost killed our DPS. I misspoke earlier. I don't think anyone actually dies on this. We do a very good job saving ultimates and using Harness Magicka because it is so busted. Now that the big threat has ended, we can go back to Mavis. We still make sure to bash him during that, because the biggest issue on that isn't so much the adds killing you, it's the adds focusing you and then you losing sight of Mavis, and then he gets off a Heat Wave and then you just get annihilated. There he tries to do a final death throw to knock me up in the air, and I'm not having any of that. So now we're done with stage 8. Next will be stage 9, the final normal stage, and then finally after that will be stage 10. But I hope this has helped, and I'll see you guys around. If you've liked the content in this video, consider pledging at my Patreon. The community's interest and support keep me inspired and drive me to continue improving and giving back. Thanks to all my patrons who've already shown their dedication. I truly appreciate it. If you have feedback, drop a comment, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.